Alright people, how we doing? I'm alright, hope yous are all having a good day. Uh, Wanted to come on talk about something that's not really crime related, but obviously I don't want this channel to just be all about like some some high profile criminal I was in prison with, or the time that we Johnny for Poso nipped bully for the Gorbals and all this kind of stuff, because obviously it has to show that how people who have serious criminal histories, some of them can actually turn their lives around and go straight or live a law abiding life, or at least live it the way of the law, right? And one of the reason that I'm coming on is because last night was quite wasn't an emotional night for me, but I had a grading in karate. So as some of yous that watch this obviously know, right? I got out of prison in 2019 in September, and before I got out, I remember I was on a phone call to my son, right, who was like 7, 8 years old at the time, right? And he's like, Dad, I've joined a karate class. And I'm like, holy shit, brilliant, so proud of you, blah blah blah. Because before I ended up into all this kind of Goodfellas and organised crime stuff and want to look up to these people, I was actually into. My favourite film was an 80s martial arts movie called Bloodsport. And Jean Claude Van Damme was actually kind of somebody who, like, I'm talking about like by the age of maybe 6 up to maybe the ages of like maybe 10, 11, whatever. I was right into this man, and that was who I wanted to be like. I used to watch a lot of Steven Seagal films as well, and I remember I was like, my dad, I want to join a karate club, blah blah blah. And he bought me a karate suit and a tonfa for my Christmas. I was like 10 years old, and we were living in Hastings at the time. And I joined the club obviously, but after like say a month, my dad would be like, "Oh, I can't take you the day. I've no got money," whatever the excuse was, right? So I've never been near anything like that since. And when my son told me that he joined a karate club, I was like, yeah, man, like this is going to do you really, really well, and I'm going to make sure you stick at it. So when I got out of prison, he was coming up for his first grading. So say he'd only been doing it like 6 months, 7 months, whatever, and he got his yellow belt, and it was November 2019, and I was so proud because I'm seeing the progress and all that as well, right? So as you all know yourselves, COVID hit, the club had to close, right? But what ended up happening was they organised it so that we could do it online. Like they would record the class online. I could bring my son home and he would do the class and blah blah blah. And obviously they could see online who had done it and all that, because you have to type your details in and your email, whatever, all that. Um, and I remember going to get my son for school, and I would be like, "We need to go home because get home quick because as soon as we get home, you're doing this class on the laptop." I would just move everything in the living room, coffee tables, anything. I didn't care, moving it all. And he would do all that. But my son had an accident. He broke his arm playing with his pal, so he was off for a while. But then going back into it, and obviously these lockdowns were on and off a lot. Um, and he's progressed right through it. So my kid is a brown belt, three tabs. So he has to get in the junior class. You have to, when you get to brown belt, you have to get like 9 tabs on your brown belt before you can go for a junior black belt. And I remember in 2021 it was like, obviously when COVID hit, everybody's life was just no off the rails, but nobody knew what was happening. Like it was just, the world was in chaos. You know what I mean? Uncertainty. And I remember, like, I would be eating all the wrong stuff. Like, drinking a wee bit too much. Like, no drinking to the point where I would be falling about, I'd be losing control, because I'm got to be honest with you, I can't afford that. Because my demons are still there. Like, I'm not that daft to think or claim they're no, but I recognise them, and I have positive self talk and all this kind of stuff. So my positive side is a lot more dominant, um, than the demons and all this kind of stuff. I've more to lose now. I have everything to lose now. Like, before, I never had anything to lose. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just, the only thing I had to lose was my freedom in my life. And back then, I didn't appreciate freedom or my life. Do you know? Um, so I remember going every time I go to my local shop to buy. Didn't matter what I was in buying. Every single person in that shop would be buying alcohol, right? And I remember thinking, like, this is just crazy. Like, everybody was just drinking, or I seen a lot of people, like, they were always like taking drugs or whatever. And I remember, like, I had got heavier than I've ever been, right? Um, I wasn't obese, right? But it was heading that way, like, just round my gut. And I remember, like, I was wearing, like, I had to buy like triple XL clothes, right? Now, I've been an XL size all my life, right? And buying triple XL clothes and eating absolute crap every day. No exercise, and I don't smoke, so that's a plus. But when I first got out of prison, like, and I'm talking like 2019, I remember I was smoking weed every day for about 3 months. For, like, when I first got out, right up to about Christmas, knocked it in the head, but and the smell of it turns my guts now. But I remember in about 2021, after the culmination of all this COVID shit, lockdown, blah blah blah, I remember just feeling really unfit. And I remember, so my son's mum lives in a, like, up and down stairs house. So say there's 10 stairs. I remember walking up these stairs, 10 stairs, and my heart was racing. And I was like, holy shit, man. If I have to move fast, I'm a liability. Do you know what I mean? So my son had been going to karate for, say, 2 years by this point. And obviously, taking him to the class, I got to know the kind of the senses and that. Knowing any kind of deep level, just perfunctory level, know what I mean? Like, how you doing, get like a wee chat with him, whatever, how's you doing, all that stuff. And when I first got out, I was telling one of them how I'd always wanted to do stuff like that. He's like, how do you know train with us? But I wasn't in the right place, do you know what I mean? I was just out of prison and didn't know what was going on or what I wanted or whatever. I was just trying to be a dad and stay out of jail, just try to stay afloat. But after all the COVID shit and all that, I was just like, no what, man, I'm just walking down here and just. So I took my son down one day, right? And when I took him in, I said to it's a father and son, the senses, right? Black belt, multiple dans, whatever, know what they're doing. And I said to one of them, remember when I first got out and I asked you, you asked me, could I train here? I says, what do I need to do to join? And he says, what you doing tonight? And I was like, nothing, sitting on the couch. And he's like, come down the night, just bring shorts and t-shirts. I didn't have a gi, a suit or anything, right? So I'm like, yeah. The way I rationalised it in my brain was, look at it like you're walking into prison. This is out of your control, right? You can't turn around and go, oh, no, don't let me in. I'll sign the sorry book and open the door and let me out. It's a Big Brother house. I want to get out. That doesn't work like that. When that door's locked, you're in there, man. That is it. So I was like, many jails you walked into. That's the way I was looking at it, because it's intimidating. It was intimidating. Trust me, I walked in, right? And there was about 6, 7 black belts, right? All standing going, right? And you can hear the wind rush, right? When they're going, and I'm like, what, man? Where's the wee boys class, right? But stuck at it, showed up, and I'm not going to lie, I remember when I first started there, like, I was throwing a punch with my arm, I wasn't throwing a punch with my body, my hips, nothing. Um, couldn't even stand right. The stances right. There's a lot of stances right, and like my feet are a bit kind of. I've got two left feet. Well, it feels that way, you know. But it's the perseverance. I feel like a lot of people quit these type of things because they don't see instant results. Do you know what I mean? And one of the senses explained it as something like karate is think of an empty bottle, and every lesson you show up is a drop in that bottle, and you're trying to fill that bottle. Do you know? And it's not gonna happen overnight, obviously, right? You're just anything like this. It's building, and so last night I had a grading, so I was a blue belt this time yesterday, right? And I always get kind of nervous before a grade, and it's like an exam. I get nervous. When I did my degree, I was always nervous as well. I would fret and I'd be like, shit, what am I going to do and how am I going to tackle this? But the more of them you do, the more you get the more you find your feet. No pun intended. So last night I was doing a grading for a purple belt. So if I passed this grading, I would go from blue to purple, and I was gobsmacked because I must have did better than I expected because I went from blue to a brown belt. No, that was quite. I've never skipped a belt before. I was like white, yellow, orange, green, blue. Then it's after that it's purple, brown, and then you have to get 3 tabs on your brown belt, and then if they feel you're good enough or ready or you've got the right attitude, then you can go for a black belt, right? No, I was under this impression as well, like once you got a black belt, that was it, you had done it, you had completed this. But what I've seen is black belt's really the start. You train, you're learning the basics when you're doing all these different coloured belts, because like I'm not gonna lie, right? There's young boys, and I don't mean young boys, right? I mean like they're in their 20s, right? They've been doing it since they were my son's age, man. They can fight, do you know? And what I love about these martial arts classes is people are so unassuming, right? They're the type of people who, if they were in prison, somebody would probably pick on them, and they would end up picking their teeth out their shit, do you know? Um, they can scrap, um, and there was one boy in particular who was a green belt when I started, right? So it was blue belt after the green belt, right? And me and him went for our blue belts at the same time. And the reason that I'm mentioning this boy is because the colour of your belt doesn't really mean, to me it doesn't mean like you can beat somebody with a lower coloured belt, because it just means he might have no, like you get people who just do it and they just stay at a certain colour of belt and they don't they're not too hung up on gradings and belts and colours and all this kind of stuff. They're just happy training, do you know? For me, I like the achievement because I never thought I would ever get that far, ever in a month of Sundays. Um, and a lot of people, it's what I'm saying, a lot of people, they don't see the instant results, so they get tired of it and all this kind of stuff. It was, and I'm not going to lie, see when I was doing my degree as well in prison, I remember seeing a guy who was at the end of his degree sitting taking notes. He looked like he knew what he was doing, right? And I'm just starting mine looking at him going, will I ever be like him? And not going to lie, halfway through my degree, I was that away from quitting it. I was in Low Moss and just, as I said before, I was being a bit of an arsehole. I was getting a lot of reports. Well, a lot more than any other place I've been in. I'd been in quite a horn fair fights. and all that kind of shit. Because Lomos was quite an oppressive prison. And what I mean by that is like screws were on top in there. No, they would the least wee thing they were right on to you, man. Felt quite oppressive. But fucking jail in it. Not what I mean. Would you expect? Um, but there's got to be a bit of coming and going. But my point is, when you stick at something, if you want it that bad, you can achieve it. And this is the whole point of me coming on and talking about this, is because like when I was getting sentenced in court, they were basically saying I was irredeemable. Like there was no hope for me. There was no way back. All that kind of stuff, right? And here I'm sitting, been out, been out longer than I've ever been out in my life, and raising my son on my own. Um, the twos are going to the same karate club. And during the summer, my girlfriend bought me a birthday present. It was like a 3 month block of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu lessons, right? And I'd always wanted to cross train. By cross train, I mean do different combat styles, right? This was completely new because this isn't standing, striking, kicking, punching combinations. This is just rolling about the flare, learning to choke, how to break arms and limbs and all this stuff, right? And the place was too far away, and to be fair, it wasn't an established dojo. It was just like just opened, all that kind of stuff. But it was wait. I was taking two buses to get there. Do you know what I mean? And standing up the town 9 o'clock at night at the Four Corners, you're going to need to know some sort of fight and shit like this, because it's like the Wild West up there, the new. And I was just like, I need to find an alternative. And funnily enough, there was a much more established place right on my front doorstep, a 15-20 minute walk from my front door. And it was a lot cheaper, a lot cheaper. And I'm like, yeah, man. So I was actually there today. And a funny story was, sees this guy coming in, right? So um, sees him with it looked like a retro Scotland strip. See the white and the red with the purple bits? Now I'm like, nice. Retro Scotland strip. Um, and at the end of the class, you get to roll, which is basically like sparring. They just say they want to roll, it means spar, right? And you're rolling about the flare, try to choke each other, whatever, leg locks, all this mad stuff that I've not got a clue what I'm doing, not gonna lie. But I was like that at karate when I first started, and I really hope that I can keep it up as well, because it's better than, to me, this is stuff's better than going to a gym and pumping iron. No, just much better for fitness and all that. And so the guy with the what I thought was a Scotland strip, right? Well, it did say Scotland on it, but there was a word in front of it, right? So I'm rolling about the flare with him, and he gets in my lip, pure. I looked on it, Police Scotland, it said, and I'm like, no way, man, rolling about with a cop. But the guy totally took me to school, man. Not gonna lie, but it was quite funny, do you know? Um, Probably the only place you can roll about with a cop and no get charged after it. But this is the thing with martial arts gyms. Like there's people from all walks of life and all different backgrounds. Nobody cares, man. Like nobody cares. It's like so harmonious, man. Like you're just a blank slate. You're just there to learn stuff, and I love it. And I hope that I can continue. If I ever got to a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, man, that would be something, do you know? But to say that, I never thought, if you'd asked me when I first started karate, do I ever think I would get to a brown belt in karate, I would have said not a chance. Not a chance, man. Not a snowball's hope in hell. And I'm so thankful to to be able to get there. And if I stay brown belt the rest of my time in there, then I'd be happy with that, because as I say, I never thought I would ever see that level. And at the end of the day, and it's what I say to my senses as well, right? I'm not here trying to be the best fighter in here, or the next Conor McGregor, the next Chuck Norris. I'm not there for that. I'm there to be able to learn stuff that could save my life one day. Because let's be fair, man, the kind of life that I led in my teenage years, like just the world can be a bad place. Um, People who train in these places don't walk about looking for fights. They really don't. They're so unassuming. There's a guy in my jiu-jitsu class, man. He's like Peter Parker. And I mean, he is like Spider Man. He's a brown belt in jiu jitsu, man, and he would tie me up with my own arms and legs, man. He would bend me up like a pretzel, and he's built like that. He is skinny. He's got glasses. He looks kind of nerdy. Hmm. Aye, he's done it. I've sparred him. He's destroyed us. Know what I mean? But that's what I love about it. Just you can have a fight and there's no animosity, there's no. But I've got the sound effects, man. I'm like making mad noises, not, and I don't see when I'm getting choked. I'm like making mad stupid noises, but can't be helped, man. It's just it's ingrained in me. Do you know what I mean? But it's a hard thing to learn that jiu-jitsu, do you know? But it's really fun, and if any's are ever thinking about getting fit, maybe you should. Maybe I would say you should try something like that instead of that hill walking once a month, or going to lift weights for 3 days a week. Aye, alright, lifting weights is good for strength, but you want to learn, like even boxing. Boxing's really good because there's a lot of circuits, and my wee boy wanted to do boxing, but it was the same nights as karate, so no happening. But aye, so I wanted, obviously I want the, as I says, I don't want this channel to just be all about like piling bodies up and seeing Big King for wherever doing this and that. No, I wanted to, but no, just about that. Obviously, that comes into it because crime is interesting. Like we all have to read about it and know wee bits and bobs, or it's just interesting, obviously. But as I say, like when I made this channel, I wanted it to be about how somebody with the kind of background I have, who was basically told like you'll be doing life or be murdered by the time you're 25. A cop said that to me. You'll be dead. You'll be murdered or doing life by the age of 25. And here I'm sitting. And see the funny thing about it? See where I'm all right now? Was right out there, like right down there, right out my front window where they said it. I was like 21 at the time. And here I'm sitting. So if you really want it, you can get it. It's fucking hard, aye, but see when you start seeing results, brilliant, man. So I'm got to need to go now. My kids come back from school, so hope you are all having a good day, and I'll speak to you all next time I'm on. Over now.